Hi, my name is Swain. I'm a certified health coach and wellness consultant, and you can find me at madewholeinternational.com. What many of you may not realize, I'm also certified as a personal trainer. In fact, I've been working with individuals for well over 25 years. Now, I recently got back from the gym. I was working out, and I saw some things that, to be honest, greatly concern me. And in fact, I'm there quite frequently when I see things that make me want to just bite my tongue. It makes me just want to cringe, things that I see. In fact, some of the things that I hear as far as advice being spread around. And so I thought I would just take a few moments just to make a quick video, hoping that I could share some of these things with you. And one particular thing that I want to share with you that will help you, hopefully, to avoid these same critical mistakes in the gym. Now, what I'm talking about today, for a few moments at least, is the concept of exercising and the two extremes that exist within that concept. And those two extremes are undertraining as well as overtraining. And they both are unproductive, if I could say that. Now, let's talk about undertraining first. In fact, since we're going to talk about undertraining, let me just go to the extreme. And with the extreme, you have the individual who won't even get off the couch and go do any type of movement, any type of exercise. I want to encourage you, if that is you, I want to encourage you to get up and do something. If you understand the way our body is designed, the way our body is made, you can look at the structure and just the physiology of our body and tell that we are designed for movement. But then you have individuals who will get up and they will do something. And I see these individuals at the gym, but yet you can tell that in their workout that they are really more like zombies. In other words, they're just going through the process. In fact, there's really no purpose, there's really no goal, and it's a rote thing. They just go through and they do the same workout day after day and week after week, and then they wonder why they aren't getting the results that they're looking for. I want to tell you that the truth of the matter is that if you're going to exercise and to get some type of real benefit, there must be a purpose. You must have a purpose. There must be goals. You have to set goals. In fact, if you don't set goals, there's an extreme chance you won't ever get there if there's no goals that is actually set. But I really don't want to talk much about undertraining. My real concern is the concept of overtraining. And this is what I witness all the time. And to be quite frank, it's something that's not really talked about as much as it should be. And again, the concept of overtraining is a real hindrance when it comes to a productive workout. Now, I want to talk about two specific areas. Number one, there's the frequency at which you're coming to the gym, as well as the load that you're putting on. When I say the load, I mean the amount of resistance that you are attempting to push, or even how the duration that you're willing to push it in an exercise program. Now, when it comes to frequency, first of all, let me just say this. I used to work out. There was a point in time where I worked out 6 days a week, sometimes even 7 days a week for 2 hours a day, maybe even 3 hours a day. I get the enticement to do that. In fact, if you've never done that, many of you may be wondering what would make someone want to work out for 2 hours a day or for 6 days a week, more importantly, 7 days a week. The fact is that here's how it goes. You never worked out before. You begin an exercise program like I did. And then after working out 6 days a week for that amount of time, you start to see results. In fact, you start to see spectacular results, results that you could not even imagine. And you become addicted to those results to the point where you actually believe that it takes that much time to actually get those type of results. What do you mean? In other words, what many don't realize is that they could have done a lot less even in the beginning and gotten the similar or same type of results. In fact, when you first start to work out, it doesn't matter who you are, just the idea, and now, again, I'm talking to that individual who won't even get off the couch or may need help getting off the couch. In fact, let me pause right there. If you are that individual, I want to encourage you to go ahead, get started right now. And in fact, if you need encouragement, if you need support, again, you can find me at madewholeinternational.com. But regardless, I want you to get started right now. New Year's is coming up, and I've often said to individuals, those that are serious about making New Year's resolution, they don't start in the new year. They start right now. So go ahead and get started. And the point I'm making with that is by going ahead and getting started, you'll find that almost anything you do will produce some results. Going from nothing to something will produce some type of results. It may not be the maximum results that you want, but you'll get results. Now, whether you're overtraining or undertraining, what will happen is eventually you'll get to a plateau. And specifically in regards to overtraining, many people find they get to a plateau where they no longer get the gains that they're wanting to get. They're no longer seeing the results that they want to see. And this happened to me, and this happened to many people that I come across that I end up working with. But again, the idea is you don't have to train that much. In fact, one may be wondering, well, how much should I work out in regards to days per week? How many days a week, in other words, does it take to get there, to be where I want to be? Well, the truth of the matter is the answer is going to depend on really what you're trying to do, what you're trying to accomplish, and really the individual. For most individuals, let me say this, for the average person, 3 to 4 days a week is going to be plenty. 3 to 4 days a week will get you where you want to go. And there are going to be some cases where maybe someone may need to do a little more than that. They may be training for a competition or something else specific, but the average person will get spectacular results, will well exceed your goals simply by doing some type, and I'm speaking specifically about resistance training right now. I'm not talking about aerobic, I'm talking about anaerobic or resistance type of training. But something else that I see that, to be quite frank, does concern me is the resistance that many of you are trying to lift, and you have no business trying to lift that much. It's clearly seen in your form. And so if you are at a point where you're trying to, it takes everything in you to move a weight in a way that it's not designed in the exercise that you're doing, then you are doing too much weight. Let me give you an example. Let's say I'm trying to curl. In fact, let me turn to the side so you can see. If I'm trying to curl, if I'm having to rock literally just to curl and move that weight, you're probably doing too much weight. And again, I don't want to say that there's never a time where you may not want to put a little bit more on the concentric phase of the movement so that you can do a negative on the eccentric phase of the movement. I understand that concept very well. But by and large, many people have way too much weight that they're trying to work out with. And the truth of the matter is, you may get some type of results, but in the end, what you're getting with that is a very much increased risk of some type of injury. That's not how you want to work out. In fact, even with that type of working out, you'll get to a point where you plateau. I remember one of my first trainers who trained me shared with me that it's much better to just go ahead and take the weight back and do a lighter weight. And then you'll find that if you work with correct form, you will quickly increase in size and strength and what you're able to do with that weight versus trying to put on more than what you really can handle. And so my encouragement is to find a weight that is suitable for where you are at that time. Don't worry about everybody else at the gym. One of the problems is we are concerned with what everyone else is doing, and we should be more concerned with where we are and the results that we need to get. But another thing that I see, and one more thing and I'll let you go. Another thing that I see is not knowing when to quit. I'll see individuals in there for 2 hours, 2.5 hours, and you'll have many of those individuals who just yapping, just talking. They're not really doing anything specifically except working their jaws. But you have some individuals that are really in there and they're working one, maybe even 2 body parts, and they're just working and working, and clearly their muscle is fatigued. There's a concept called muscle fatigue for those who may not be aware. And I want to say this, once you get to the point where that muscle is fatigued, it's over. You're done. There's no need to continue working out. Your goal is to get to the point where you reach muscle fatigue, where your muscle was really not able to efficiently push forth with push a force on in the direction that you're trying to push. In other words, the muscle is worn out, if I could just say it simply like that. And when you get to that point, it's really time to stop. Working out past that point will not produce more results. So my encouragement is to, when you get to the point where, learn where that muscle fatigue is. And again, if you need support in this area, that's what I'm here for. I can help you. MadeWholeinternational.com, or you can also find me on Facebook, RobinDSwain.com. I'm here to support you. I don't just want to talk to you about these things and sound critical, though I'm not being critical. I want to help you, and I want to encourage and support you where I can. But I'm going to just end right there and say this. Please guard against that, and you will see the results. Now, I want to continue to keep doing what you're doing if you are exercising, but train properly and stay motivated. And with that, I'm going to say thanks. I'm out. Take care. Till next time.